Well, quite a treat for show number 2 to bring your way of our Sports Spectrum football special. And a week ago, gosh, it was so much fun to talk to Kirk Cousins as he shared what's going on in 2020 in his life and took it personal, which if I know Matthew Slater at all and Case Keenum, who will be our guest today, they will do the same. Sam Acho was such a treat last week as well, as he's sharing his journey being off the field, kind of looking back at that football bubble that he once lived in and all that the Lord is teaching him. And I know in the same vein that Case Keenum will be transparent. Certainly Matthew Slater will as well. So there'll be 2 just awesome guests will be a part of this football special brought to you by Sports Spectrum. And we couldn't do this show without 2 very, very special partners. One of them is Compassion International. It's a privilege for me to be a part of their lead team. Compassion International is sponsoring this program, just as they've got an initiative they're kicking off and filling the stadium. You can go to fillthestadium.com and see all the details. In fact, Case Keenum is a part, one of the 53 team members, lead members of the Fill the Stadium initiative that Compassion has kicked off. And we're on our way. We're trying to fill an NFL stadium of 70,000 sponsorships, and you can be a part of it. They're sponsoring this program today. Fillthestadium.com is where you can go and learn all the information. You can learn about us, some of the different team members, an incredible group that God's brought together with a real passion and a real heart to help support Compassion International. But we could do the show today. We couldn't bring you Case. We couldn't bring you Matthew without them. And likewise, Football Sunday that kicked off in 2015. That's been a big part of a movement around the country on Super Bowl Sunday to bring the stories of NFL players, real life stories, into the church and into the community, into the church family. And you can be a part of that as well. Churches all around the country could be a part of Football Sunday and all that it brings. And oh, by the way, Case Keenum has been on that show in the past. But to learn a little bit more about what Football Sunday is all about, here's a couple other special friends of mine: Steve Stenstrom, Benjamin Watson, coming your way.
Hey everyone. Whether you've engaged with Football Sunday in the past,
or you just landed here for the first time,
I'm so excited to share the vision for this year's event with you.
The pandemic hit us all in surprising and life-changing ways.
And as spiritual leaders, it hit you in ways that forced you to make hard
and immediate changes in the ways you do ministry.
And even though you're hopeful,
you're still tired.
You have the peace of God, but you probably still feel the unrest.
You've got the courage,
but still have moments of doubt
and fear. But out of this tension,
out of these
uncertainties,
Football Sunday 2021 is taking shape.
I believe for such a time as this.
The title for this year is this: Unshaken.
Unshaken. The verse that will run through the entire resource is Psalm 16:8.
I have set the Lord continually before me.
Because he is at my right hand, I will not be shaken.
A portion of the purchase price will go toward a
movement of Christ followers who are confronting the issue of racial justice.
So let me ask you, what might happen
if God used this football season to become transformational in the lives
of the people you serve?
Your potential to reach people is now both on site and online.
Could there ever be a better time for a media resource like this?
Football Sunday 2021.
Football Sunday 2021. I hope
you'll be a part of it.
Awesome. Well, Matthew Slater, thank you for taking the time to jump aboard our show today. And I got to start here, Matthew. 8-time Pro Bowler, one more than your pops. One more. I don't know if you know that or not. Jackie Slater, Hall of Famer, 7 Pro Bowls. Have you let Dad know that kind of one-upped you?
It may be the only department I've one-upped him in, and it's such an honor for our family. This game has been so good to us. The Lord has blessed us through the game of football, and we're humbled. And, if you talk to either one of us, when we hear the things that we've accomplished in football, it seems like we're hearing about someone else. It doesn't feel real. So we just feel so blessed and thankful for the journey.
Well, how are we here? How has football brought you here? How has he brought you to 8 Pro Bowls, to 13 years, to 2-time All-Pros, to 3 Super Bowls, being a part of 5 of them, 3 big old fat rings? How are we here today?
The Lord has just been so faithful. When I think about my story, it really starts with my dad and some of the things that my mother and father came through growing up, their walk with Christ, their faithfulness to the Lord, and how it poured over the legacy that they left with my brother and I. And, we've just always tried to submit ourselves to Him. And even when we do our best to mess things up, He continues to be faithful and steadfast. And we're just so grateful. The Lord's faithfulness, it just amazes me every day. When I think about my career, it's been a non-traditional one in the fact that I've been a special teams player for 13 years. And the Lord has just continued to show up and show out. And this is really about Him and what He's doing. It's not about me. This is about the author. And my story is just one of the many that He's telling. And I'm so thankful for it.
Yeah, that's on your hat right there. It's reflecting His glory.
Yes,
How do you do
indeed.
that? How do you do that day in and day out? And before we get to 2020 and all the challenges that and I think blessings that this year has brought through adversity, what in those previous 12 years, when you walk through those doors in New England, how do you reflect God's glory in a place that can be workmanlike, businesslike, challenging? We all know Bill Belichick, and he's been your boss for 13 years. How do you reflect God's glory in that building?
I think it's just about dying to yourself. You try to remove the ego every day, and that's challenging without the Holy Spirit. Just to get rid of the ego, to come in with the right perspective every day. It's important that I remind myself of the Lord's faithfulness each and every day, and it's important that I realize who I really am at the core. So I've tried to come in with an attitude of gratitude for the last 12, 13 years, and just realize that the Lord is doing something here. And football is just a small part of that. He's put me in New England so that I can show people the love of Christ, try to lead the right way, be transparent about who I am and my flaws, but also be vocal about the grace that God has shown me throughout the course of my life. So He's helped me navigate it. He's given me favor in a lot of ways, especially in a place like New England that's very difficult. But He's been working. He continues to work, and I'm just so thankful that He's used me the way that He has all these years.
And what has 2020 been like from a football perspective in that building? Because it's a unique year. I don't know if you know this or not. Tom Brady's not there. Like he's down in Tampa Bay. From that perspective, just football perspective, and then just how about community and life perspective with your brothers on that team? Walk me through, I guess, both of those hallways, if you wouldn't mind.
Absolutely. Well, football's been challenging. Obviously, for our team, we've undergone an identity shift, if you will. When you have a player like Tom and all that he's meant to our franchise over the last 2 decades, to transition away from him has been challenging. And we've had to find who we are. We've tried to build upon the same principles we always have, which is hard work, accountability, and just putting the team first. But it's been tough. You talk about COVID. It really handicapped us as far as building in the off season, spending time together, getting new guys integrated. But everybody's in that same boat. And I think the primary concern for a lot of us before we even thought about football was how do we do our best to keep our families safe as we, reintegrate back into football. So it's been a challenging year in that regard. Obviously, for us, it's been a little bit of a struggle, but there have been a lot of lessons for all of us to learn. And I'm thankful for it. I think it's exposed, for me personally, holes in my leadership. And I've had to undergo this process, and I've learned a lot. I think I'm a better player, leader for it on the other end. You talk about the community here and how that's been affected. It's been tough. I think a lot of what we try to do with our ministry here, fellowship-wise, is face-to-face, whether it's our couple study that we normally would host at our home, or our studies at the stadium with our chaplain. It's been challenging. We've had to hop on a lot of Zoom calls, which at this point a lot of us are a little tired of, but we've made the best of it. We've Zoomed our couple study for the entire season. Fortunately, our chaplain is part of the tier 2 of the NFL, so he's able to come in, and we still have our weekly Bible studies and chapels, but we've had to evolve just like everyone else. But God's been faithful, and He's continued to work and grow guys on our team all season long.
Matthew, it doesn't surprise me in the Northeast. They like to be face to face, their sense of community. You're a West Coast kid, UCLA kid, but 13 years in that Northeast. I think you've probably gotten used to some of those face to face conversations. Let's take that a little bit deeper. You said there have been valuable lessons that you've learned, some profound lessons. You talk about your leadership and your growth in it. And I think it's so easy to focus on all that 2020 isn't and all those challenges we have. But I love the way you pointed it right there and said, man, I realized a couple of these things through it. What are a couple of those profound lessons, or even take me deeper into that leadership lesson you have learned about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, over the course of my career, I've had it easy. We've had a tremendous amount of success here, and leading in times of success is much easier than leading in times of struggle. It's easier to get guys to buy in. It's easier for me to be in a better mood and have joy constantly. You get in a situation where you deal with adversity, and the Bible teaches us that God uses adversity to grow our character and to grow our dependence on Him. And it's one thing to know that and understand that at a text level. I read the text, I read James 1, I read Romans 5, and I understand that trials are for my benefit. But then it's a different thing to actually be in a trial, to be experiencing a life trial with brothers that you've worked with for a lot of years. So I think for me, it's kind of shown that, hey, you've had no struggle. There's a little bit of shallowness to some of the ways that you've led. There's a little bit of naivete to the way things can be within the business of football and the stressors that it can produce as a result, and how it affects my overall mood, how I then come home and lead at the house, how I let that kind of come home with me. So it's been eye-opening for me to just see, some sin in my life as far as leadership, areas that I can improve, and ultimately how I need to be more reliant on the Lord in that leadership capacity. It's one thing to take lessons that I think He wants me to have, as opposed to listening to what He's trying to tell me and then going to act accordingly.
That is so good, and I'm so thankful for you sharing that. And your story has been all over Football Sunday because of the success of those Patriots. As I mentioned, 5 different Super Bowls. So you have been a part of Football Sundays, and 3 of those victorious Super Bowls, by the way, along the way in this awesome ride for you. What's that been like? What's it been like to be a part of Football Sunday for so many of these years over the last decade?
It's been so fantastic. For me, I've always looked at football as the ultimate platform to tell people about the love of Christ. And when you get to the ultimate stage where everyone is watching, everyone's interested in what you have to say, it's presented me with a lot of great opportunities to have discussions about the gospel. And ultimately, I know that what happens on a football field is going to fade away like that. It's a vapor. But the decision that we make in terms of what we're doing with who the person of Jesus is and what the Bible says about him and what that means for our eternity, that message needs to be broadcasted as loud and as clearly as possible. And thankfully, through Football Sunday and appearing in the Super Bowl as much as I have, I've been able to do that. And I'm so thankful for that, because I've always believed, I heard Troy Vincent say this, that he was a disciple disguised as a football player, and everything he did concerning football was so that he could tell people about Jesus. And I thought that was brilliant, and I feel the same way.
You got 8 more years in you. You got 1 more Pro Bowl than Pop. This is your 13th year. By my math, he played 20. Do you got 8 more in you?
I can say with pretty great certainty I don't have 8 more in me. But I'm just I can't help but smile at what the Lord has done here. This is not me. Anyone who's tracked my career, seen my college journey, they got to know that the Lord is behind this. I'm not the best player. I'm not the biggest guy. I'm not the fastest guy. He's just provided year after year after year. And I'm so grateful for that. But I'll gladly concede the 20 years. Dad, you can have that. I'm not trying to go chase that. I don't think my wife wants me chasing that either. And we'll just take it one day at a time.
Taking ordinary men and women and telling extraordinary stories with their lives. Pretty much sums up the gospel and the Bible. And Matthew, I think pretty much sums up your story as well.
No question. I had a pastor friend of mine always say, "I'm just some dirt God has been good to," and I feel that way. It's always about the author. I can't emphasize that enough. Everyone's captivated by our stories as professional athletes, our journeys, our careers, what we've accomplished, but it's about the author, the God of the universe who decided that this would be a good idea so that we could bring him more glory. And I get excited about that because I know that I'm on the most improbable journey that anyone could ever be on in football. And I know that God is ordering my steps and he's decided this for me so that I could glorify and lift up his name.
And I'm going to be praying you get another catch. For crying out loud, 13 years, and they let you touch it one time. That's going to change. That extraordinary story is going to change. Matthew, thank you so much for sharing your heart and your story with us. And we so appreciate you, bro.
Thank you so much for having me.
What a joy to catch up with Matthew Slater. You could just feel the Spirit just oozing out of him and just the way God has used him for 13 years in that organization with the Patriots. Yeah, a whole lot of winning, but some challenges and adversity this year. And I just love him sharing that. And that really speaks exactly to Case and Kimberly Keenum's story. It was 2 years ago that they shared their testimony as a part of Football Sunday. And it was a testimony that they bravely shared through their challenges in infertility and the battles they faced along the way. Here's Case and Kimberly's story on Football Sunday 2 years ago.
One of our first memories of each other, we played flashlight tag throughout the church, at night. I remember seeing her run back to base and not remembering her name exactly, but her older brother, Brandon, who I was better friends with at the time, I said, I got you, Brandon's little sister. And
I turned around and I said, "That's not my name," and I ran to base.
I don't know if that was the start of our romance, but it was definitely one of our first memories of each other. Coming into college, I was consumed by football. I'm a competitive person. When it didn't come easy, I struggled with it. Throwing one bad pass at practice or having a mistake, here or there, really consumed me. And it was a lesson I continually learned from freshman year all the way up to senior year when I hurt my knee, that I was not just a football player that happened to be a Christian. I was a Christian who happened to play football.
Jesus really commanded us. It was his very last breaths before he left earth. He said, "Go, therefore, and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit."
One of the best parts of that verse, one that really struck home for us, is that word "go." It's not just go, but it's as you are going. So for me as a football player, for her as a wife, whether you're a businessman, teacher, construction work, whatever you're doing, as you are going, as you are doing those things, make disciples. It's not slapping them in the face with the Bible, but living our life as close as we can to chasing after Jesus. Coming out of college, I was undrafted, signed Houston Texans, signed with the St. Louis Rams, signed back to the Houston Texans at the end of that year, and then traded back to the St. Louis Rams, moved with the St. Louis Rams to LA, and then signed with Minnesota Vikings, and then this past season signed with Denver Broncos.
Moved 4 times in 1 year, right?
6 times in 7.
Any place we've been, I never want to leave that place without giving the best I've got, without getting to know as many women as I possibly can. I don't want to waste that year. I want to help point others to Jesus, no matter what I'm doing. And that is absolutely our goal as we are going.
One of those big things that we've prayed about and talked a lot about is having kids, having children. A few years ago, decided that we were, not gonna not try anymore. And then a few years passed by, and nothing was really going, so we started to get a little more serious about it. And over the course of a few, bumps in the road, some different procedures, some different things that we've had to go through, we're still praying that God's, plan has children for us.
Having kids is not going to give me this ultimate happiness. Like, yes, it's going to be so joyful and amazing, and I cannot wait for, hopefully, the Lord to provide that in our lives. But I still feel like He's just teaching us so much to find the ultimate joy in Him and in Him alone, and just peace in Him. And I feel like the Lord has us in this time to be able to just have extra time to pour into other people. So many women do feel shame and do struggle with it so much and go through a lot more than what we've been through. And I just don't want to go through this time, like we were saying earlier, to be a waste. Like, I want to be able to still help point somebody to Christ through the midst of it. Like, I don't want to wait till I'm on the outside of it. I want, in the midst of it, as we're going, to help another woman going through this. And I understand it stinks, but like, God has purpose no matter where we're at in our life.
There's not a doubt in our mind that God's plan is so much better than anything that we ever imagined.
What a joy and a blast and a privilege it is to be joined by Case Keenum, who you just watched from 2 years ago. Case, you were part of Football Sunday, telling your remarkable story with your lovely wife, Kimberly. And I guess I'll start right there. Like, you decided to pull the trigger and be a part of Football Sunday a couple years ago. Why?
I guess that's a good big first question, but man, just because we felt led to, felt called to, and that's kind of our life story is God just calling us where He wants us, and it doesn't matter on our timing and what we're going through at the time, but looking back at it, it's always perfect timing, and He has led us without fail on a perfect plan, man. That has had a lot of ups and downs and a lot of traveling across countries and different things. As I guess a little bit of it if you just watch the video, but it's been incredible, and we are so thankful for some of those hard times, and so thankful for a lot of the good times. But yeah, we were excited to get to share our story, and that's how we feel God is put us here, has given us the things that He has, and we just want to share that with people.
And that was 2 years ago, Case, and repeatedly through your story with your wife, Kimberly, you said, we got to honor God as we're going. We're going to honor God as we are going. We're going to honor Him, whether it's 6 teams in 9 years, no matter where He sends us, we're going to honor God. But it was even deeper than that. It was much deeper than football, as you shared your journey with Kimberly and you guys' struggles with having a child and the fertility challenges that you all faced. And I know that touched so many people who took that in because it was so much bigger than football, about marriage, about where you guys were at. And I just wonder, in 2 years, right, you want to honor God with where you're going. Is there anything new that's happened in 2 years on the home front?
Yeah, well, besides my wife being not real happy with my my attempt at a Cleveland type playoff beard, we're trying to make a playoff push. We have a 1-year-old, man, Kyler Stephen Keenum. Was born last year about this time, so he's 1 year old, and man, he is awesome. He is an incredible blessing, and surprise, surprise, but we have another one on the way, a little quarantine baby, a little stay-at-home baby. We're blessed, man, with a little baby girl who's due in April. So, and the Keenum household is alive and well here. I'm surprised we found a quiet moment here. Kyler is trying to get up and run around. You may hear in the background here, but man, it's been incredible. You can't we can't write these stories, man. It's been cool to see what God has done in the last 2 years since Football Sunday aired for the first time.
Gosh, it is remarkable, isn't it? I mean, you kind of chuckle there a few different times, but that story is not unique. There are so many that are challenged and struggle with fertility and want to have a child and don't know how that journey is going to go. How did that unfold? So you tape in November or that football season, right? You tape that during the season that airs in the Super Bowl Sunday in 2019. How then quickly thereafter, all of that happening, here he comes. Here comes a little guy into your world.
Yeah, well, if you're asking when we got pregnant,
I'm not doing that. No, this is a family. This is a family show.
Honest, man.
Know how that happened. No, we'll keep all of that.
Well, it wasn't very long after that. I'll be honest, man. You cannot deny that it's God's timing. It's really, really unbelievable. I mean, it was literally like that month. Like, I mean, unbelievable. And obviously he was born November 10th. We moved since then to Washington, moved again to, here to Cleveland, and got another one on the way. So, I mean, it's just like I said, you can't deny that somebody's writing this. Somebody's got their fingerprints all over this. And there's no doubt in my mind that it's God.
In Case, how often is that on your heart as we think about your journey? And way, way, way back when, man, way back when you were a Houston Cougar, I got a chance to call one of your games in college, and it's been just a wild ride. Yeah. From undrafted to, the 6 different teams, to the Minneapolis Miracle, to starting, to backing up, to wearing every hat there is to wear in the NFL in just these 9 years already. How often does God just remind you, or do you just praise him, Lord, for, as you said, man, I'm going to honor you no matter what the circumstance is, because he's throwing a whole bunch your way.
Yeah, he really has. But man, there's been so many great things. And, it's been so cool to work through those tough times and those hard times that we all have. And, our story, we didn't want to compare it to anybody else's story with infertility and what we've had to go through. Because we know that there's so many other people that have dealt with this, and as we've come out, we've learned that so many more people than we even thought would come up to us and be like, "Hey, I had this, or this, or I have a family member or a friend, or I personally, have gone through this." So it's really opened a lot of doors for us to be able to talk to, players and their wives and friends and strangers and all sorts of people that we never would have. Never would have known, but being able to share our story opened up and, helped a lot of different people. So, and we didn't want to compare it to anybody else, but man, it's incredible. I keep using the word unbelievable, but, I mean, it's something where every day I can list so many things that I'm thankful for. And, it definitely puts me, it resets me to the right position of where I need to be constantly chasing after him. So, it's been awesome though.
And you want to be used, and whether that means trying to grow a strong playoff beard and support Baker Mayfield in the role you find yourself in now, whether that's a starter as it was with the Broncos, a starter in a playoff run in Minnesota with the Vikings, whatever those circumstances bring you want to honor him. Take me into 2020 now, because this is a different year. This is not spending time in locker rooms. This is not small groups together. I'm going to guess this is not couples Bible studies where you and your lovely wife get to learn and grow with others. And how are you functioning and operating within this COVID 2020 crazy wonky year with still communicating, loving on teammates, and really growing in that community?
Yeah, it's been a challenge. I know everybody's been challenged during this time. keeping my head on a swivel and being ready to change. I mean, we finally get some sort of a Zoom Bible study going, and then, they shut the facility down for a few days, and the schedule changes, and, so many changes, so many different things. And honestly, just embracing that change, taking advantage of the small few moments that we have. We're not even allowed to get together, out of the building now with teammates, and it's been a challenge. It really has. But I think taking advantage of each and every little individual moment that you have, whether that's the short time we are in a locker room together, the short time we are on the practice field, game field, whatever it is, the short time that they do keep us somewhat together, still trying to make an impact and just build relationships and love on people. And it's been a good year for that for me. Not getting hit as much, has been definitely nice, but being able to concentrate a little bit more on, leading from the back, if you will, or, trying to influence and use my relationships and different things that I'm able to do, behind the scenes, and watching Baker grow as a football player and as a leader on and off the field, the locker room has been really, really cool. So I know we're here for a purpose, and we've seen a lot of it already, but I'm excited to see what else God has, each day, because they bring new challenges every day.
So has it made you appreciate that connection that I think a lot of us took for granted? A connection in a huddle, a connection in a meeting room, a connection in a locker room. Have you found yourself maybe more than ever just appreciating how special this game is, this platform is to connect?
Without a doubt. I mean, those long training camp days, that you're just sitting around the locker room and trying to take a nap, or, laying around playing cards with the teammates, and, those things that don't really involve football. All those things are gone now, and you appreciate those times that we did have. So trying to recreate those moments in new and creative ways here in 2020 has been important. But yeah, I mean, it's you definitely appreciate the small things and the small moments you have in the the times with loved ones and teammates.
Hey, Case, last thing, because I know that little guy is going to barge into the room at any time, and number two is coming soon. But for some of those that are taking this in today and wondering, maybe it's a church leader, a community leader that says, "Yeah, football Sunday, I've heard of that before. Why would I want that a part of my church? Why should we bring that into our building and in our church community?" How would you encourage them of just what that platform is? And as you said earlier, the number of people that contacted you and reached out to you. For those maybe on the fence, why should they bring football Sunday into their church?
Yeah, I had a friend, talk to me. This was a while back. He was a very well respected pastor, but he always used the example of the most influential people in the world. And you think it'd be politicians and musicians and things, but you know, there's a lot of studies that say it's athletes. People like Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, and I think using that common ground that we all have this thing of sport. Whatever it is, whatever sport that you like. I've lived all over the country and, seen kids in Minnesota shooting hockey pucks, 1,000 pucks a day, during the summertime, getting ready for their, winter sport, and football in Texas, guys going out in 110-degree weather, working on their sport. And it's this common thread that so many people across this nation and across the world, it's a common language that we all speak. So this football Sunday that they've done, it's such an incredible way to bring so many people that normally wouldn't be a part, of a church body, of a spiritual group. So I think it's amazing what these guys are doing over at Sports Spectrum, and then putting together football Sunday. It's been incredible. So I highly encourage, if anyone's on the fence about whether or not to do it, it's first class deal, and it's gonna bring so many people to Christ, and you don't even know where the influence goes of these things. I mean, there's ripple effects across generations that you just don't know the influence and the impact that one little word from one person can make. So it's why me and my wife are involved and do what we do, and you just never know. Believe me.
And I sure appreciate that, Hart. And I know that we're also teammates with Compassion, and we're team members on filling that stadium and the opportunity we have to do that. And I can't wait, Case, to connect with you and Kimberly and your little ones too, here down the road to continue to fill that stadium up for so many young kids that are in need around the globe. We love your heart, Case. Thank you so much for your time today, brother.
Thanks, Brock. Appreciate it, man.
So appreciate the heart of Matthew Slater and Case Keenum to share their story today. And I hope, and I know you all had smiles as big as mine, hearing the story that just a year after all of their challenges and all of the journey of the infertility, to see their gift and another one coming. Yeah, God does extraordinary things with very, very ordinary people. This couldn't happen. This show, this Sports Spectrum football special, really couldn't happen without our sponsors, without Football Sunday. And I think you hear from Matthew and you hear from Case, just the influence and the opportunity that Football Sunday is all about. You can catch it Super Bowl Sunday. And if you're hedging at all and wondering, should we bring it into our church community? The answer is a definitive yes. But I also am so thankful, and I said this to begin the show, but Compassion International, both just personally in my own life, the role they played in sponsoring a podcast that I do and back in the Pacific Northwest, but being a part of their team. And don't you sense that? As you listen to Matthew today, as you listen to Case, I mean, it's the beauty of football. It's the ultimate team sport. And to watch what Compassion's doing with their Fill the Stadium initiative, bringing aboard a team of professional athletes across baseball and golf and football, incredible people, husbands and wives that want to make a difference, that want to make an impact, that want to fill a stadium with 70,000 sponsorships, and we can do it. We all have a heart to do it, and you can join in that and fillthestadium.com. That's fillthestadium.com. You could go there. You can learn all about what so many of the team members are doing, what Compassion is doing, and really our heart to see an NFL stadium full of sponsorship. So fillthestadium.com, you can find that, and you could find this show coming back at you in the new year. It's going to be January 6th. You can find us right here, same spot, Wednesday, January 6th. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful Christmas, a happy new year. Benjamin Watson will be with us January 6th as we spin forward to Super Bowl Sunday as well. So thank you for being a part of this, and we'll see you in the new year.